Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Mind Matters, the podcast where we explore the ideas that are shaping how we live, learn, and connect in the modern world. I'm your host, and today we're diving into a topic that has transformed education more than almost anything else in the past decade: online learning platforms. Whether you've taken a course on Coursera, watched a tutorial on Skillshare, or joined a class on Udemy, chances are you've been part of this massive revolution in learning. Now, we're calling this episode Online Learning Platforms Pros and Cons. But today, in part one, we're focusing entirely on the pros, the advantages, the opportunities, and the transformations that these digital classrooms have brought into our lives. The second part will tackle the other side of the coin, the limitations and challenges. But for now, let's stay on the bright side of this educational shift. So grab your coffee, get comfy, and let's explore why online learning platforms have become such a powerful force in education today. Let's start with the most obvious benefit: accessibility. For centuries, access to education was tied to location, social class, and money. You had to live near a university, afford tuition fees, or be accepted into a specific program. But online learning broke down those barriers. Today, a teenager in a small village in Vietnam can study artificial intelligence from Stanford professors. A stay-at-home parent in Brazil can learn graphic design from an expert in London. A retiree in Kenya can take a course in world history from Harvard. Education is no longer locked behind campus gates. It's available to anyone, anywhere, anytime. And that's revolutionary. It means knowledge has become a global public good. Instead of being something only the privileged few could afford, education is now something the entire world can share. Platforms like edX, Coursera, Khan Academy, or FutureLearn are giving millions of learners the same high-quality content that used to cost thousands of dollars or require moving across the world. The idea that you can learn anything you want, wherever you are, is deeply empowering. But accessibility isn't just about geography, it's also about flexibility. Let's face it, not everyone can fit their lives into the rigid schedule of traditional classrooms. Many adults have jobs, families, or personal commitments. Students might need to balance part-time work or live far from urban centers. Online learning changes that equation completely. You can learn at midnight, during your lunch break, or early in the morning before your kids wake up. This kind of self-paced learning is one of the strongest appeals of online education. It respects individual rhythms and lifestyles. You don't have to choose between learning and living. You can integrate learning into your life. And when you have the freedom to pause, replay, or revisit lessons, it reduces the anxiety that often comes with keeping up in a fast-paced classroom. You learn at your own speed, on your own terms. Now, another major advantage is the variety of subjects. Traditional universities are bound by resources. They can't offer every topic under the sun. But online platforms, they can. From machine learning to mindfulness, from data analysis to digital art, there's something for everyone. Whether you want to boost your career, explore a new hobby, or even start a new profession, online platforms make it possible. And the range isn't just in subjects, it's also in levels. You can start as a complete beginner and move to an advanced or even professional level, all within the same ecosystem. This latter approach to learning helps people grow continuously without needing to enroll in a new school every time they want to take the next step. Let's talk about cost-effectiveness. Education, especially higher education, has become incredibly expensive in many countries. For some people, the dream of attending college remains just that, a dream. But online learning platforms have changed the math. Instead of paying tens of thousands of dollars, you can access courses for free or for a fraction of the cost. Some even offer financial aid or subscription models that let you take multiple courses for a small, monthly fee. This democratization of knowledge has made it possible for millions of people to gain valuable skills without going into debt. Think about it. You can learn programming, business management, or marketing strategies for the price of a Netflix subscription. And unlike entertainment, this investment pays off directly in your personal and professional growth. Of course, price isn't the only economic benefit. Online learning also saves hidden costs: commuting, accommodation, printed materials, and time. For working adults or parents, those savings can be significant. Every hour saved from travel is an hour gained for learning, rest, or family. Then there's the power of personalization. Traditional classrooms often follow a one-size-fits-all approach. Everyone studies the same material, in the same order, at the same pace. But online platforms use technology to tailor learning experiences. Algorithms recommend courses based on your interests, progress, or previous learning patterns. Some platforms even use artificial intelligence to adjust the difficulty level depending on your performance. This personalization keeps learners more engaged and helps them retain knowledge better. It turns passive learning into active exploration. Instead of being just a student in a classroom, you become a curator of your own education. You decide what to learn, when to learn, and how deep you want to go. And speaking of engagement, online learning isn't just about watching videos. Many modern platforms incorporate interactive tools like quizzes, projects, discussion forums, peer reviews, and real-time feedback. These features simulate the collaborative environment of a classroom while still giving you independence. It's learning by doing, not just by listening. In some cases, the technology even goes further. Think of VR classrooms where you can interact with 3D models, or AI tutors that answer your questions in real time. These innovations are making online education more immersive and more human. Another underrated benefit is career advancement. In today's economy, skills matter more than titles. Companies want employees who can adapt, learn fast, and stay relevant in changing industries. Online platforms make that possible by offering targeted, up-to-date courses that respond to market demand. For example, when digital marketing or data analytics started booming, online platforms were the first to offer practical, hands-on courses, long before traditional universities caught up. Professionals could upskill within months and open new career doors. Many employers now even recognize online certificates from reputable platforms as proof of continuous learning. This brings us to an important cultural shift: the rise of lifelong learning. Gone are the days when education ended with graduation. Now we live in a world where learning is ongoing. Online platforms make that sustainable. They allow people to learn continuously, without the logistical or financial burdens of traditional systems. It's not an exaggeration to say that online learning has made learning itself a lifestyle. People learn to stay curious, to grow, to stay relevant, not just to get a diploma. Another beautiful advantage of online learning is inclusivity. Traditional education systems, even unintentionally, often exclude certain groups: people with disabilities, those living in remote areas, or those facing social or cultural barriers. Online platforms have helped bridge that gap. For learners with disabilities, many courses offer closed captions, transcripts, or even screen reader support. Those who face anxiety in crowded classrooms can learn comfortably from home. And people in war zones or developing regions, who might not have access to physical schools, can still pursue education online. It's not just about inclusivity in terms of accessibility. It's also about diversity. When you join an online course, you're suddenly in a class with people from around the world, different backgrounds, professions, ages, and experiences. You don't just learn from instructors, but also from your peers. That global exchange of ideas is something traditional classrooms can rarely offer. Imagine taking a leadership course and hearing how someone in Nigeria handles team challenges, while another learner from Japan shares cultural insights on communication. These perspectives broaden our minds and make education more global in the truest sense. Let's not forget the technological empowerment that comes with online learning. Just by participating in an online course, you automatically develop digital literacy, the ability to navigate online platforms, collaborate virtually, and use digital tools. These are crucial skills in the modern workplace. And beyond that, online learning encourages self-discipline and time management. Without a teacher watching you or strict deadlines forcing you, you have to take ownership of your learning. That discipline, setting goals, managing time, staying motivated, is a skill that extends beyond academics. It's something that strengthens your personal and professional life too. Finally, online learning offers something truly special: a sense of empowerment and autonomy. In traditional systems, students are often passive recipients of information. In online learning, you become the driver. You choose what to study, when, and how. You design your own learning path. That freedom can be deeply motivating. It creates a sense of ownership over your education, and when you take ownership, you naturally care more, focus more, and learn more. Education becomes not something you have to do, but something you want to do. And maybe that's the greatest gift of all. Online learning platforms remind us that learning is not confined to classrooms or certificates. It's a lifelong journey of curiosity, exploration, and growth. So, when we look at all these advantages, accessibility, flexibility, affordability, variety, personalization, inclusivity, career relevance, and empowerment, it's easy to see why online learning has become a cornerstone of modern education. It's not just a temporary alternative born from necessity. It's a transformation of how we understand learning itself. But, of course, every revolution comes with its challenges. And while online learning offers incredible opportunities, it also brings questions about motivation, quality, equity, and human connection. We'll dive into all that in Part 2, the cons and the critical side of this new educational model. For now, though, take a moment to think about your own learning journey. What have you learned online? How has it changed the way you think or work? Because in many ways, that's the beauty of this era. The classroom is no longer a place you go to. It's something you carry with you, wherever you are. If you listened to Part 1 of this episode, you know we've been exploring the world of online learning platforms, the digital classrooms that have changed how millions of people access education. In the first part, we celebrated the pros, the incredible accessibility, flexibility, and empowerment that online learning brings. But as with every innovation, there's always another side to the story. So today we're diving into the cons, the challenges, the limitations, and the subtle downsides that come with learning in a virtual world. Let's be honest. While online education has opened doors for many, it hasn't been a perfect experience for everyone. In fact, for all its promises, there are still important questions we need to ask about what we might be losing in this digital transition. So, let's take a deep breath and look closely at what's not so great about online learning platforms. The first and perhaps most fundamental challenge is the lack of personal connection. No matter how interactive a platform is, nothing truly replaces the energy of being in a room full of people. The subtle cues, the smiles, the eye contact, the small talk before class, or even the spontaneous debates that spark during discussions. In online settings, that human element often gets diluted. When you're staring at a screen, it's hard to build the same kind of rapport with instructors or classmates. Conversations feel flatter, and emotional engagement drops. You might learn information, but you often miss the experience of learning together. And for many people, that loss of connection can lead to a sense of isolation. Learning alone in front of a laptop can feel lonely. Without the social energy that drives traditional classrooms, motivation tends to fade over time. That brings us to the second challenge: motivation and self-discipline. Remember how we praised flexibility in Part 1? Well, that flexibility can also become a double-edged sword. When you can study anytime, it often means you study later, and sometimes later becomes never. Without deadlines, reminders, or a teacher checking in, procrastination creeps in easily. The freedom to learn at your own pace can quietly turn into a trap of endless postponement. And when life gets busy, learning tends to fall to the bottom of the list. Studies have shown that online courses often have lower completion rates compared to traditional ones. Many learners start with enthusiasm but gradually lose momentum, especially when courses get harder or when motivation dips. It takes a very self-directed personality to thrive in an online environment. Someone who can set goals, stay accountable, and push through challenges without external pressure. Not everyone has that structure naturally, and without it, the learning experience can feel frustrating and unfinished. Another major issue is the question of quality. While there are incredible online courses created by top universities and experts, there's also a flood of low-quality content out there. The open nature of online platforms means anyone can publish a course, and not all of them are credible. Some instructors might lack teaching experience, or the course materials might be outdated or poorly designed. Without a standardized system of quality control, learners are left to figure out what's reliable and what's not. Even big platforms struggle with this. When thousands of new courses are added every month, it becomes hard to maintain consistent academic standards. As a result, the quality gap between two online courses can be enormous. One might feel like a university lecture, and another might feel like a YouTube tutorial recorded in someone's living room. This inconsistency affects trust. When learners can't tell whether a certificate from an online course is truly valuable, it weakens the overall reputation of online education. Next, we have limited hands-on experience. Certain subjects simply require physical practice. You can't learn to perform surgery, operate heavy machinery, or conduct chemical experiments entirely online. Virtual simulations can help, but they can't fully replicate the tactile, sensory, and emotional learning that happens in real-world settings. Even in fields like art, architecture, or music, where creativity thrives on collaboration and critique, online platforms can only go so far. The screen adds distance, and sometimes that distance dulls the creative spark. And while some hybrid models are emerging, the majority of online learners still experience education as something abstract, disembodied, more theory than practice. Now let's talk about technological barriers, because not everyone has equal access to technology. We often talk about online learning as if everyone has a stable internet connection, a personal computer, and a quiet place to study. But in reality, millions of people still struggle with basic infrastructure. In rural or developing areas, unstable networks or power cuts can make consistent learning almost impossible. And even in developed countries, digital inequality persists. Not everyone can afford high-speed internet or the latest devices. For some, the problem isn't access, but familiarity. Older learners or those less comfortable with technology can find online platforms confusing or intimidating. A simple technical glitch can become a roadblock that discourages participation. So while online learning is potentially accessible to everyone, in practice, it often widens the digital divide. Those who already have the tools and digital literacy thrive, while others fall further behind. Then comes the problem of distraction. Learning online often means learning on the same device that holds your entertainment, social media, and messages. You might start a lecture with the best of intentions, and 10 minutes later, you're scrolling through Instagram or checking emails. It's not entirely your fault. The online environment is designed to capture attention, not sustain it. Notifications, ads, and multitasking temptations constantly compete with your focus. Unlike physical classrooms, where the environment supports concentration, online learning puts the responsibility entirely on you to create that focus. And for many, that's an uphill battle. Another subtle but important downside is the lack of immediate feedback. In traditional classrooms, if you don't understand something, you can raise your hand. The teacher can sense confusion and adjust their explanation. But in online settings, you often have to figure things out on your own or wait for delayed responses in discussion forums. That gap in real-time interaction can slow down the learning process and make it feel impersonal. You might finish a course having memorized content but not having truly understood it. Then, there's the credibility problem. Let's face it, not all employers take online certificates seriously. Despite the growing acceptance of e-learning credentials, there's still skepticism about their rigor. Some companies question whether online courses truly test understanding or just reward completion. Even when platforms partner with top universities, the perception gap remains. A degree from an online course doesn't yet carry the same social prestige or trust as one from an in-person institution. That perception may change over time, but for now, it still shapes how learners and employers value online education. Now, let's explore the psychological and emotional side, something that often gets overlooked. Traditional classrooms are social ecosystems. You meet people, form friendships, network, share laughter, compete, and collaborate. These social dynamics play a huge role in motivation and memory. Online learning, however, often lacks that emotional texture. It's efficient, yes, but efficiency can sometimes feel sterile. There's no hallway chatter, no after-class discussions, no sense of belonging to a learning community. For students, especially young learners or those in transitional phases of life, this absence of human connection can impact not just learning outcomes but also emotional well-being. Education isn't just about acquiring knowledge. It's about growing with others. And when that element disappears, something deeply human gets lost. Another issue worth mentioning is overchoice, the paradox of having too many options. Online learning platforms offer thousands of courses, which sounds amazing, until you realize that abundance can lead to confusion. With so many choices, learners struggle to pick the right one or stick with it. It's like walking into a giant bookstore without a map. You browse endlessly, start one course, pause halfway, jump to another, and end up finishing none. The freedom that once felt liberating can become overwhelming. Without proper guidance or structured pathways, online learners can easily get lost in the noise of endless content. We should also talk about screen fatigue. After hours of staring at a laptop, your eyes hurt, your mind feels heavy, and your body craves movement. The digital format, while convenient, often comes at the cost of physical and mental strain. Humans weren't designed to sit still for long periods in front of glowing rectangles. And yet, online learning often demands exactly that. Prolonged screen exposure not only reduces attention span, but also affects posture, sleep, and mood. In contrast, traditional classrooms naturally include movement, social interaction, and breaks that keep the mind and body balanced. Then there's the lack of accountability and structure. In-person education has built-in systems: attendance, participation, peer pressure, deadlines. These create a rhythm that helps students stay on track. Online learning often lacks that rhythm. You're responsible for everything: starting, continuing, finishing. For self-motivated learners, this is liberating. For others, it can be overwhelming. Without a sense of accountability, even the best intentions can fade away. And finally, let's address the commercialization of education. As online learning grows, some platforms have turned education into a product, marketed, packaged, and sold like any other commodity. While it's great that education is becoming more accessible, the profit motive sometimes overshadows the purpose of learning. Courses are optimized for clicks and completion rates rather than deep understanding. Instructors compete for visibility rather than focusing on pedagogy. And learners become consumers, chasing certificates instead of curiosity. This commercialization risks turning education, a human right and a lifelong journey, into a fast-paced marketplace of short-term credentials. So, with all these cons laid out, from lack of connection and motivation to quality issues and digital fatigue, it's clear that online learning is not a perfect substitute for traditional education. It's powerful, yes, but also imperfect. And maybe that's the point. Online learning was never meant to replace traditional education entirely. It's meant to complement it, to make learning more inclusive, flexible, and adaptable to modern life. The best future of education might not be purely online or purely offline, but a thoughtful blend of both, where the accessibility and innovation of digital platforms meet the empathy and community of human interaction. Imagine a system where students attend classes in person for collaboration, creativity, and discussion, but also use online tools for flexibility, exploration, and lifelong growth. A hybrid world where learning happens everywhere, on campus, at home, on the bus, during lunch breaks, whenever curiosity strikes. Because at the end of the day, education isn't about platforms or devices. It's about people. It's about how we connect with ideas, with teachers, and with each other. Technology can amplify that connection, but it can't replace it. So perhaps the real challenge for online learning isn't technological. It's human. How do we design systems that not only teach us skills, but also remind us why we're learning in the first place? That's the question educators, learners, and innovators will continue to explore in the years ahead. Until then, maybe the best advice is this: use online learning for what it does best: accessibility, flexibility, and lifelong curiosity. But don't forget to seek out the human experiences that make learning truly meaningful, because no matter how advanced our platforms become, real growth will always happen when knowledge meets connection, and when information turns into wisdom through shared experience. Thank you for listening to this 2-part episode on online learning platforms. Pros and cons. I hope it gave you a deeper perspective on both the promise and the pitfalls of digital education. If you enjoyed this discussion, don't forget to follow the podcast, share it with a friend who loves learning, and stay tuned for our next episode, where we'll explore another fascinating topic shaping the future of human potential. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and remember, education doesn't end when school does. It lives inside you wherever you are.